I asked about the wedding date, and my daughter smirked. It was yesterday, just for real family. The cold Oklahoma air hit my face as I pushed through the doors. My truck sat in the parking lot, looking as old and forgotten as I felt. But something bothered me about what she'd said. Legal papers. Richard signed legal papers. Has someone in your family ever rewritten history to cut you out? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family, enjoy the story. If you've ever wondered how fast someone can erase you from your own child's life, this story will shake you to your core. One signature. One lie. One wedding you weren't invited to. Have you ever felt completely invisible to the person you love most? Has someone in your family ever rewritten history to cut you out? Do you know what it feels like when legal documents become weapons? Here's the truth nobody talks about. In America today, paperwork can delete a parent faster than any court order. Follow along as we uncover how a father's love became a legal battle, and why the evidence he found will change everything you think you know about family loyalty. The room went quiet after she said, "It was yesterday, just for real family." Then someone behind me whispered. Not cruel, knowing. I stood there in that church lobby in Tulsa, holding the wedding invitation list we were supposed to finalize together. The coffee smell mixed with that old carpet scent every Oklahoma church seems to have. My daughter's eyes had this look, not sorry, not angry. Just, done. What do you mean yesterday? I asked, my voice barely working. She pulled out her phone like she was showing me the weather. Photos. Lots of them. Her in white, walking down an aisle in Dallas. A packed room of people I'd never seen. The groom's family in the front row, beaming. And there, in the seat where the father of the bride should be, sat some guy in an expensive suit. Who is that man? I pointed at the screen. That's Richard. Mom's husband from Missouri. You remember? I remembered him all right. Showed up after my wife died, tried to play dad when my daughter was already 18. Rich guy with fancy lawyers. He walked me down the aisle, she continued, swiping through more photos. Signed the legal papers too. Much cleaner this way. The invitation list crumpled in my hands. 23 years of raising her alone after her mother passed. 2 jobs to pay for her college. Sitting up nights when she had the flu. Teaching her to drive in my beat-up Ford. All of it just erased. The programs were beautiful, she added, like twisting the knife. Simple and elegant. No confusion about who's who. If your own child tried to delete you from their biggest day, would you fight back? Subscribe, you'll need to see how this ends. I walked toward those glass doors, my boots squeaking on the polished floor. The sound echoed off the walls like a judge's gavel. Behind me, someone was explaining to whoever asked that there had been family complications, but everything worked out fine. Fine. That's what 23 years of love gets reduced to when it becomes inconvenient. The cold Oklahoma air hit my face as I pushed through the doors. My truck sat in the parking lot, looking as old and forgotten as I felt. But something bothered me about what she'd said. Legal papers. Richard signed legal papers. I'd raised that girl from the time she was 11. When her mother got sick, I was the one who sat in hospital rooms. I was the one who signed every school form, every medical release, every college application. My name was on her birth certificate, her social security card, her first driver's license. So how exactly did some rich guy from Missouri suddenly become her legal father? As the glass doors closed behind me, one phrase echoed, real family. Then I noticed the legal signature line on that invitation list, a name I'd never heard claiming to be her father. Screenshot that name, you'll see why it matters. The drive back to my apartment near Broken Arrow felt longer than usual. Every red light gave me more time to think. Every mile put more distance between me and the life I thought we had. But questions were forming. Hard questions about signatures and legal papers and who exactly gets to decide what family means. The radio played some country song about fathers and daughters. I turned it off. The refrigerator hummed, the only proof I was still breathing. The photo on my table showed her in white, without me in the frame. My apartment felt smaller when I got home. Not because anything had changed, but because suddenly I was the only one in it who mattered. The dinner plate from 3 hours ago sat half empty on the counter. Meatloaf and green beans, getting cold like everything else in my life. I picked up the framed photo from the side table. Last Christmas, just the two of us. She's wearing that red sweater I bought her, laughing at something stupid I'd said about the neighbor's decorations. In the picture, she looks at me like I'm her dad. Funny how much can change in 8 months. The floorboards creaked as I walked to the kitchen. Same creak they'd made for 3 years, ever since I moved here after she went off to college in Texas. Close enough to visit, far enough to give her space. Or so I thought. My phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject line, documentation updated, legal guardian status. Dallas County Clerk's Office. Automated message. No greeting, no explanation, just a case number, TX 2024 FG 8847. I stared at that number until my eyes watered. FG probably meant family guardian. But guardian of what? And why was Dallas County sending me anything? The email was corporate cold. Recent changes have been processed regarding legal guardian status for dependent, Jessica Marie Thompson. For questions, contact the Family Court Division during business hours. Jessica Marie Thompson. My daughter. But she hadn't been a dependent for 7 years. I opened my laptop, the one she'd helped me pick out when I started taking night classes. The screen glowed blue in my dark apartment. I typed in the case number. Access denied. Public records, but not public enough for the guy who'd raised her. The coffee maker gurgled to life. I'd set it on a timer years ago and never changed it. The smell filled the apartment, mixing with that faint aftershave scent that still lingered on my jacket. Normal smells in a situation that was anything but normal. I sat at my kitchen table, the same table where she'd done her homework in high school. Where we'd planned her college applications. Where just last month she'd asked me to help her understand some legal papers about her mother's estate. Estate papers I'd never seen the final version of. The pieces started clicking together like a lock opening. The wedding in Dallas. Richard signing legal papers. The county clerk sending me automated updates about guardian status. Ever gotten paperwork so cold it felt like a death certificate? My phone buzzed again. This time, not an email. A text from a number I didn't recognize. Documentation has been corrected. No further action required. No signature. No explanation. Just instruction. I screenshot the message and saved it to a folder I labeled Evidence. Might as well start somewhere. The envelope wasn't meant for me. My address, wrong name, Dallas County Clerk's Office had made their first mistake. Tuesday morning brought more than just my usual coffee and toast. The mailman had stuffed something thick into my box, bent it to make it fit. Official-looking envelope with the Texas state seal. Addressed to Robert M. Richardson, at my address on Cedar Street. I'm not Robert Richardson. Never have been. But the return address made my hands shake. Dallas County Clerk's Office, Marriage License Division. Should have returned it. Should have marked it wrong address and put it back in the mailbox. Should have minded my own business. Instead, I opened it. Copy of a marriage license. My daughter's name at the top, clear as day. Jessica Marie Thompson marrying David Allen Patterson on November 15, 2024. Yesterday, just like she'd said. But it was Section 12 that stopped my heart cold, legal guardian information. Father, Richard Allen Patterson, legal guardian, primary, mother, deceased legal status verification, affidavit on file, witness November 14, 2024. Richard Patterson. The groom's father. Not just walking her down the aisle, legally claiming to be her guardian. The man who'd swooped in after my wife died and tried to play daddy to a grown woman. When lies become legal documents, silence becomes complicity. Subscribe before someone rewrites your story too. I read it 3 times. Each time, the words got worse. Legal guardian. Primary. Affidavit on file. But the real killer was line 47, in tiny print at the bottom. Previous guardian status. Biological father deceased, per affidavit 7792. Deceased. They'd legally killed me. I was sitting at my kitchen table, drinking coffee, very much alive, staring at official documentation of my own death. The irony would have been funny if it wasn't destroying my life. I grabbed my phone and called the Dallas County Clerk's office. Marriage License Division, this is Sandra. Yes, I need to ask about a filing error on case number. Sir, are you an attorney or immediate family member? I'm the father of the bride. Hold on. Keyboard clicking. Long pause. Sir, according to our records, the biological father is deceased. Are you perhaps a step-parent or relative? No, ma'am. I'm very much alive, and I raised that girl for 23 years. Another pause. Sir, we have a notarized affidavit stating otherwise. If you believe there's been an error, you'll need to file a dispute in person with supporting documentation. What kind of supporting documentation? Birth certificate, guardianship papers, medical records showing parental responsibility. Standard proof of legal standing. I had all of that. In my filing cabinet, in my bedroom, in folders I'd organized when she started college. How long do I have to file this dispute? 30 days from the date of filing. But sir, false claims about deceased persons are taken very seriously by this office. She hung up. I walked to my bedroom and opened the filing cabinet. Birth certificate, James Michael Thompson, father. Guardianship papers from 2012 when her mother died. James Michael Thompson, sole legal guardian. Medical records, school records, insurance policies. 23 years of paper proving I existed. What would you do with proof of your own legal death? The marriage license lay on my table like evidence of a crime. And maybe that's exactly what it was. I grabbed my phone and called the one person who might understand what this meant. Marcus read the document twice. His eyebrows didn't move until he reached line 47. We sat in the corner booth at Murphy's Diner on South Yale, the same place we'd been meeting for coffee since he helped me with custody paperwork 12 years ago. Marcus had been a paralegal for 30 years before retiring. If anyone could make sense of this mess, it was him. Jim, he said, setting the marriage license down like it might explode. This isn't a filing error. What do you mean? I mean somebody put real effort into this. He pointed to the witness signatures. See these names? Dolores Martinez and William Chin. Professional witnesses. Professional witnesses? People who make money signing legal documents. Usually legitimate, but not always careful about what they're signing. He pulled out his phone. Let me run these names. While he typed, I stared at my reflection in the diner window. Gray hair, tired eyes, face that looked older than 56 should. The face of a man who'd been legally erased. Interesting, Marcus said. Dolores Martinez notarized this document at 3:47 p.m. on Sunday, November 14th. But according to her business license, she's only authorized to work weekdays in Dallas County. So Sunday notarizations have to be special emergency situations. Medical crisis, legal deadline, that kind of thing. What emergency justified notarizing your death certificate? The coffee in my cup had gone cold. Outside, Tulsa traffic moved normal and steady, people living regular lives while mine fell apart in a diner booth. There's more, Marcus continued. William Chin, the second witness. According to public records, he's never lived in Oklahoma. Never worked in Oklahoma. Never been associated with you, your daughter, or your family in any way. How is that possible? It's not. Legally, I mean. Witnesses have to have personal knowledge of the facts they're attesting to. They have to swear under oath that they know the biological father is deceased. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. Jim, someone paid professionals to lie under oath about your legal status. This isn't family drama. This is fraud. My hands were shaking. I put them flat on the table to make them stop. What do I do? Marcus pulled a small notebook from his jacket pocket and started writing. First, we document everything. Make copies of everything. Timeline everything. Then we file complaints with Dallas County and the Oklahoma Bar Association. Will that work? Depends on how deep this goes. But Jim. He looked up from his notebook. If they went this far to erase you from one document, what other documents have they changed? Flag those witness names, they're about to become very important. Marcus pulled out his phone again. 2 witnesses signed this. Neither one has ever met your daughter. The diner suddenly felt very quiet. We need to make some calls, Marcus said. And we need to do it today. The phone rang 3 times before Mrs. Henderson at Lincoln Middle School picked up. I'd helped with their fundraiser last spring, back when being Rachel's dad still meant something. Oh yes, I remember that visit, she said after I explained why I was calling. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Thin man, very nervous. Kept asking about transcript changes and emergency contact updates. Said there had been a family situation. My grip tightened on the phone. What kind of changes? He wanted Rachel's records updated. Remove you as primary contact, add someone named William Morrison as legal guardian. But when I asked for documentation, he got flustered. Said he'd come back with paperwork. William Morrison. The name from the marriage license. Did he come back? That's the strange part. The next day, someone called to cancel the whole request. Said it had been handled through another channel. I thanked her and hung up. 3 more calls to Rachel's high school and community college revealed the same pattern. Same nervous man. Same requests to alter my legal status. Same sudden cancellations when proper documentation was demanded. At Riverside High, the registrar remembered something else. He had a list, she said. Very organized. Like he'd done this before. What kind of list? Schools, medical offices, even her old pediatrician. He was checking them off as he went. The room felt smaller. This wasn't grief-driven confusion or family drama. Someone had methodically visited every institution that documented my relationship with Rachel, attempting to rewrite 20 years of history. I pulled out a calendar and marked the dates. Every visit happened the same week Rachel announced her engagement. While I was celebrating her happiness, someone else was erasing me from her past. The last call was to Dr. Patel's office, where Rachel had gotten her college physical. The receptionist confirmed it immediately. Yes, that man came by. Wanted to update emergency contacts and medical authorization forms. When we explained that required the patient's signature, he left quickly. Did he say why he needed the changes? Something about custody arrangements being finalized. But your daughter was 22 then, no custody issues at that age. After hanging up, I sat in the growing darkness of my apartment. 4 institutions. Same story. Same systematic attempt to delete me from official records. Marcus had been right. This was orchestrated. I opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Times, dates, witness names. If someone wanted to play the paperwork game, I'd show them what real documentation looked like. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown Dallas number. Stop digging or you'll lose more than just a wedding invitation. I screenshot the message and added it to my growing file. They'd made their first real mistake, threatening me directly. Now I had proof this wasn't just family politics. Someone was scared enough to show their hand. 3 schools. Same pattern. Same week she got engaged. What would you do, confront the threat, or keep building evidence. Jennifer Walsh's law office felt like a sanctuary after weeks of uncertainty. She specialized in document fraud and identity theft, exactly what I needed. "This isn't sloppy paperwork," she said after reviewing my evidence folder. Her fingers traced the marriage license copy. "This is systematic reconstruction." She spread the documents across her conference table like a detective laying out crime scene photos. The pattern became clearer under her practiced eye. "Look at these signatures," Jennifer pointed to the witness lines. "Same pen, same pressure, written too quickly. Professional forgers take time. Whoever did this was rushing. So it's definitely fraud? Multiple felonies. Document forgery, identity theft, perjury under oath." She pulled out a magnifying glass. "These notary stamps are photocopied. The real stamps have raised seals. These are flat ink impressions." My hands shook slightly as the scope of the deception became clear. This wasn't just about excluding me from a wedding. Someone had committed serious crimes to rewrite Rachel's legal history. "What's our next step?" Jennifer's expression hardened. "We file an emergency preservation order. If they're bold enough to forge marriage documents, they'll destroy evidence the moment they know we're watching." She pulled out a legal pad and started writing. "I need every document you have, original guardianship papers, school records, medical authorizations. Anything that proves your legal relationship with Rachel. They're rewriting families with forged signatures. Subscribe so you don't miss who's next." "How long do we have?" "Hours, not days. Document destruction happens fast once people panic." She glanced at her computer. "I'm filing the preservation order today. It'll freeze all records related to Rachel's legal status and require disclosure of any document changes made in the past 2 years." I handed her the flash drive containing everything I'd collected. "There's more. Someone threatened me yesterday." Jennifer's eyebrows shot up as she read the text message. "They're scared." "Good. Scared people make mistakes." She walked to her window overlooking downtown Tulsa. "I've handled cases like this before. Usually involves estate money or inheritance rights." "Is there something financial at stake?" "Rachel's mother left a trust fund. Substantial. Only accessible to Rachel and her legal guardian until she turns 30. There it is." Jennifer turned back to me. "How much money are we talking about?" $400,000. The room went quiet. Jennifer nodded slowly, pieces clicking into place. "That's motive for multiple felonies. Someone wanted control of that trust fund badly enough to forge legal documents and impersonate family members." She returned to her desk and started typing rapidly. "The preservation order goes in immediately. I'm also requesting a forensic document examination and a criminal investigation referral." "Will it work?" "The evidence is overwhelming. Forged notaries, false witness statements, identity theft. This case will build itself." She printed several forms and handed me a pen. "Sign here. We're about to turn their carefully planned fraud into a public record." The preservation order filed at 4:47 p.m. By 5:15, someone was already calling the courthouse. Will they try to block the order before it takes effect? The storage unit key felt heavier than it should have as I drove to the facility on Saturday morning. Jennifer had suggested I gather every document that proved my relationship with Rachel before someone else decided to make them disappear. Unit 47 contained 20 years of my life as a father. Christmas decorations, old furniture, and 3 boxes labeled Rachel, important papers. I found it behind tax receipts, the original will my late wife Sarah had written when Rachel was 16. "In the event of my death, custody of Rachel Elizabeth Morrison shall remain with her father, David Morrison, until she reaches majority age. David has been her primary caregiver and should continue in this role." But that wasn't what made my hands tremble. Paper-clipped to the back was a handwritten note in Rachel's teenage writing. "Dad's speech needs to be perfect for my wedding. He's the only one who should walk me down the aisle because he's the only one who never left. Dated 3 years ago, right after she'd graduated college. I kept digging. A folder marked Wedding Ideas contained guest lists in Rachel's handwriting. My name appeared first under Most Important People. There were venue comparisons, dress sketches, and a timeline that included Dad helps with invitations and Dad's speech, 5 minutes max, make everyone cry. The contrast was devastating. 3 years ago, I was the center of her wedding plans. Last month, I was legally dead according to her marriage license. In another box, I found her college application essays. One was titled The Parent Who Stayed. It described how I'd worked 2 jobs after her mother died, attended every school play, and taught her to change a tire in a parking lot during a thunderstorm. My father isn't perfect, but he's present. In a world where so many fathers disappear when life gets difficult, mine showed up every single day. That consistency taught me what real love looks like. I photocopied everything. The handwriting analysis alone would prove these were Rachel's genuine feelings before someone got inside her head. My phone rang. Jennifer's name on the screen. The preservation order was granted, but there's been activity, she said. Someone accessed the Dallas County Courthouse database at 11 p.m. last night, right after our filing went public. What kind of access? Record searches on Rachel's name. They were looking for something specific. I told her about the wedding planning documents and the essay. She was quiet for a moment. Bring everything to my office Monday morning. We're dealing with people who have resources and connections. They're not going to give up quietly. After hanging up, I sealed each document in individual plastic sleeves and photographed everything twice. If someone wanted to continue rewriting history, they'd have to get through a paper trail that told the truth. Photocopied. Time-stamped. Sealed in envelope by Dawn. Which piece of evidence would break your heart most, the wedding plans or the essay about fathers who stay? The text arrived at 7:23 a.m. Monday morning. 4 words that changed everything: order granted. Documents frozen. I didn't celebrate, I exhaled for the first time in weeks. Jennifer called an hour later with details. The judge was thorough. All records related to Rachel's legal status are now under court protection. No changes, no deletions, no mysterious updates. What happens next? We wait. And we document everything that happens while we wait. That afternoon, a FedEx envelope arrived at my apartment. Thick, expensive paper. Professional printing. The return address made my stomach drop: Morrison Family Trust, Dallas, Texas. Inside was a formal invitation printed on cream cardstock. The Morrison family cordially invites you to an evening celebrating Rachel's new chapter. Join us for dinner as we honor our daughter's journey into marriage and her bright future ahead. Black tie required. This Saturday. The Adolphus Hotel in Dallas. Signed by William Morrison, the man who had legally replaced me as Rachel's father. The timing wasn't accidental. They were throwing a celebration while the court case was pending, making their fake family narrative public before I could challenge it legally. I called Jennifer immediately. It's psychological warfare, she said after I read the invitation aloud. They're trying to establish their version of reality through public events. Should I go? That's your choice. But if you do go, document everything. Photos, conversations, witnesses. They might reveal something useful. That evening, I stood in front of my bathroom mirror holding the invitation. Rachel was somewhere in Dallas, probably excited about a party being thrown in her honor. She had no idea her celebration was built on forged documents and stolen identity. My reflection looked older than my 58 years. The past month had carved lines around my eyes and gray into my hair. But my hands were steady as I set the invitation on my dresser. I'd raised Rachel to believe in truth over comfort, justice over convenience. If I showed up to that party, I'd be walking into a room full of people celebrating a lie. But I'd also be gathering evidence that could restore my daughter's memory and my legal rights. The decision felt like standing at a crossroads. One path led to safety and silence. The other led toward a confrontation I might not win. Black tie dinner. Honoring our daughter's new chapter, signed by the man who legally replaced me. Attend the celebration or avoid the trap. What would you choose, gathering evidence or protecting yourself? The Adolphus Hotel ballroom buzzed with the kind of confidence that money buys. I stood near the entrance in my one black suit, watching a room full of strangers celebrate my daughter's life story, with me edited out of every chapter. They had created a photo display titled Rachel's Journey. 24 framed pictures showing her graduation, family vacations, birthday parties. I recognized every moment because I'd lived them, paid for them, been present for them. But in these photos, my face had been carefully cropped out and replaced with William Morrison's. A Christmas morning where I'd assembled her bicycle became his triumph. The vacation to Colorado I'd saved 6 months to afford became their family bonding trip. Her college graduation, where I'd sat in the front row bursting with pride, now showed only him and his wife beaming at the camera. "Excuse me, are you family?" A woman in pearls approached, champagne glass in hand. "I'm Rachel's father." Her expression shifted to confusion. "Oh, you must be mistaken. William Morrison is Rachel's father. He's right over there giving the toast." I followed her gesture to see a silver-haired man in an expensive tuxedo addressing the crowd with practiced charm. Rachel stood beside him, radiant in an emerald dress, nodding along to his words about raising an exceptional daughter and the privilege of being her guide through life. Every sentence felt like a knife twist. He was claiming credit for bedtime stories I'd read, homework I'd helped with, tears I'd dried during teenage heartbreaks. "Rachel has always been our miracle," he continued, his arm around her shoulder. "From the day she came into our lives, she brought nothing but joy and purpose." The crowd murmured appreciation. I moved closer, phone discreetly recording. "Of course, her biological situation was complicated," William continued, his tone carefully diplomatic. "But love makes a family, not biology. We've been blessed to provide the stability and guidance she needed during her formative years." My jaw clenched. Formative years. I'd been the one forming those years while he was nowhere to be found. An elderly woman beside me whispered to her companion, "Such a sad story about her real father. Thank goodness the Morrisons stepped in when they did." I turned to face her. "What story?" "Oh, you know, absent father, addiction problems. Rachel rarely talks about it, but William mentioned the difficulties they overcame as a family." My vision blurred with rage. They hadn't just erased me, they'd rewritten my character as an absent, addicted failure. If they're bold enough to rewrite history in public, what are they hiding in private? Subscribe, the next revelation will shock you. I moved toward the bar, needing air and distance. That's when I heard it, William speaking quietly to another man near the kitchen entrance. "Transfer finalized Monday. Once the trust documentation is updated, there won't be any remaining complications." I stepped closer, pretending to examine the wine selection. "The biological father situation is handled?" the other man asked. "Legally resolved. Documentation shows him as deceased. The trust transfers to Rachel's actual guardian, me, until she turns 30. My phone was still recording. $400,000. That's what this elaborate performance was really about. Transfer finalized Monday. The date matched her mother's estate settlement week. Screenshot that date, it's about to become crucial evidence in exposing the biggest lie of all. The text came at midnight, 3 days after the dinner party. "We need to talk. Coffee tomorrow, 9 a.m. Brookside Diner." Susan. Susan Martinez had been Sarah's best friend and Rachel's honorary aunt for 15 years. Seeing her name on my phone felt like a lifeline in dark water. She was already waiting in a corner booth when I arrived, hands wrapped around a coffee cup, looking like she hadn't slept in days. "I can't do this anymore," she said before I even sat down. Her voice shook. "I've been carrying this guilt for months." "What guilt?" Susan pulled out a manila folder with trembling fingers. "The documents. The ones I notarized for Rachel's estate planning. They made me sign papers saying you were present when you weren't. My blood went cold. What papers? Trust fund transfer documents. Guardianship changes. Medical proxies. She pushed the folder toward me. They told me it was standard estate planning, that you'd approved everything but couldn't be there in person. I opened the folder. My signature appeared on 6 different documents, all dated the same Sunday evening. All notarized by Susan, all claiming I'd been present for the signing. Susan, I was never there. I've never seen these documents before. Tears started flowing down her cheeks. I know. William Morrison came to my office with Rachel 3 months ago. She seemed confused, kept asking why the changes were necessary. He did most of the talking. What did he say? That you'd developed some kind of problem. Drinking, maybe drugs. That Rachel needed protection from your influence while she was vulnerable during wedding planning. The lie was so perfectly crafted it made me sick. Turn my own friends against me using manufactured concern for my daughter's well-being. But then I started noticing things, Susan continued. The timestamps on the notarizations, 9:23 p.m. on a Sunday night. My office was closed. I was at home with my family. She pulled out her phone and showed me photos. Building access logs. My office complex locks down at 6 p.m. on Sundays. No exceptions. So how did you notarize them? I didn't. Not really. Susan's voice dropped to a whisper. William had me pre-sign the notary pages. Said it would save time when you came in later. But you never came in, and somehow the documents got completed anyway. I felt the walls closing in. Professional, systematic, careful fraud. There's more, Susan said. She pulled out a small recording device. I started documenting everything after I realized what was happening. William called me last week, right after that court order went public. She pressed play. William Morrison's voice filled the small diner. Susan, we need to discuss your testimony if anyone asks about those notarizations. Remember, David was present. Coherent. Willing participant. Your memory of that evening needs to stay consistent. Building access logs, facility closed Sunday nights. Entry recorded, impossible. Is this enough evidence to challenge everything, or do we need to dig deeper into this conspiracy? Their lawyer's letter arrived Tuesday morning, 3 pages of polished threats wrapped in legal language. The message was clear: drop the investigation or face defamation lawsuits that would destroy me financially. I read it twice, then called Jennifer. Intimidation tactics, she said after I read the key passages. They're scared because our evidence is bulletproof. So what do we do? We respond. But not how they expect. That afternoon, I sat at Jennifer's conference table watching her draft our reply. Where their letter was 3 pages of bluster, ours was 2 sentences of precision. Mr. Morrison's allegations regarding defamation are noted. Attached, please find documentation supporting Mr. David Morrison's legal standing, including witness testimony, building access records, and forensic evidence of document forgery. Jennifer attached Susan's recording, the building logs, the original trust documents, and photos of the forged notarizations. 47 pages of evidence that told the truth better than any argument. That's it? I asked. Sometimes the most powerful response is the quietest one. She sealed the envelope. We're not threatening anyone. We're just sharing facts. The final line of our letter read, "Silence was never surrender." When powerful people tell you to back down, that's when the truth matters most. Subscribe, justice is coming. Jennifer hand-delivered the package to their Dallas law firm that evening. By Thursday morning, everything changed. They want to meet, Jennifer told me over the phone. Settlement conference. Tomorrow afternoon. Settlement? We haven't even filed charges yet. That's exactly why they want to settle. Criminal charges are public record. Civil settlements can include confidentiality agreements. I thought about Rachel, probably unaware that her new marriage was built on a foundation of felonies. What are they offering? Money. A lot of it. Plus a promise to restore your legal status quietly, without admitting wrongdoing. The offer was tempting, $200,000 cash, restoration of my guardianship rights, and a guarantee that Rachel would know the truth about her trust fund. All I had to do was sign a paper promising never to discuss what happened. What do you recommend? Jennifer was quiet for a moment. That's not a legal question. It's a moral one. I spent that night walking around my neighborhood, thinking about the choice ahead. Take the money and restore my relationship with Rachel through private negotiations, or pursue criminal charges and risk losing her forever in a public scandal. At midnight, I made my decision. Friday morning, I called Jennifer with my answer. No settlement. File for forensic document analysis. Let the truth come out in court. Are you sure? This could get messy. They forged legal documents and stole my identity. If we let them buy their way out of this, what's to stop them from doing it to someone else? Jennifer's voice carried new respect. I'll file the motion this afternoon. Forensic comparison, approved. Timeline, 72 hours. Ever been told to quit, and chose to fight harder instead? Sometimes that's when you discover what you're really made of. The Dallas County Courthouse felt like neutral ground as I walked through the metal detectors Friday afternoon. Jennifer carried a slim briefcase containing our evidence, while across the lobby, William Morrison's team wheeled in 3 large boxes of defensive documentation. Remember, Jennifer whispered as we found seats, we're not here to make speeches. We're here to present facts. Judge Patricia Martinez called the hearing to order at 2 p.m. sharp. The courtroom was nearly empty, just the lawyers, a court reporter, and me sitting in the gallery watching my life get dissected by strangers. William Morrison looked smaller than he had at the hotel dinner. His expensive suit couldn't hide the nervous energy as Jennifer began her presentation. Your Honor, we're requesting forensic analysis of documents that appear to contain forged signatures, false notarizations, and fraudulent witness statements. She approached the bench with Susan's recording device. The defendant's own words, recorded without his knowledge, demonstrate consciousness of guilt regarding these document irregularities. Judge Martinez listened to William's voice describing how Susan's testimony needed to stay consistent regarding my supposed presence at the notarization. And here, Jennifer continued, placing the building access logs on the evidence table, are the security records showing the notary office was locked and empty at the time these documents claim to have been signed. The judge examined the access logs, comparing them to the document timestamps. Her expression grew stern. Mr. Morrison's counsel, how do you explain signatures allegedly witnessed at 9:23 p.m. in a building that was secured at 6 p.m.? Their lawyer shuffled through his papers, clearly unprepared for this level of detail. Your Honor, these records could be inaccurate. Building security systems malfunction regularly. For 3 months straight? Judge Martinez raised an eyebrow. Every Sunday evening? Jennifer placed the final piece of evidence before the bench. The original trust documents in Rachel's handwriting, describing me as her primary guardian and trusted advisor. These documents, written in the beneficiary's own hand, directly contradict the forged material submitted by Mr. Morrison's team. The courtroom was silent except for the court reporter's quiet typing. Judge Martinez studied the evidence for several minutes before looking up. I'm granting the request for forensic document analysis. Additionally, I'm referring this matter to the District Attorney's Office for criminal investigation. William Morrison's face went pale. Furthermore, the judge continued, I'm issuing a temporary restraining order preventing any further changes to trust fund documentation until this matter is resolved. She said, with dignity. I slid the evidence folder to the courthouse clerk without a word. As we left the courtroom, Jennifer squeezed my arm. That was beautiful. You let the evidence speak. William Morrison and his lawyers huddled in the hallway, their voices hushed but urgent. I heard fragments: criminal exposure, media attention, damage control. Walking toward the courthouse steps, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months, the weight of injustice lifting from my shoulders. Hearing postponed. Criminal referral, requested without fanfare. Sometimes the strongest move is the quietest one. Do you agree that truth speaks louder than threats? The phone call came at 6:47 a.m. Monday morning, exactly 72 hours after the court hearing. Jennifer's voice carried barely contained excitement. They're withdrawing everything. Complete capitulation. I sat up in bed, instantly awake. What do you mean, everything? All contested documents. The trust fund claims, the guardianship changes, even the marriage license corrections. William Morrison's lawyer filed a motion this morning requesting withdrawal from all matters related to Rachel's legal status. Did they admit fraud? No confession came. Just a brief statement about protecting family privacy and immediate withdrawal from all contested documents. I walked to my kitchen window, looking out at the Oklahoma sunrise. After months of fighting shadows and forged papers, the bureaucratic machinery was finally turning toward truth. What happens next? Your original guardianship status gets restored. Rachel's trust fund reverts to its proper administration. And the criminal investigation moves forward regardless of their civil withdrawal. An hour later, my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. Dallas area code. The text was short: Dad, we need to talk. Can you call me? Rachel. My hands shook as I dialed her number. She answered on the first ring. Dad? Her voice sounded younger, uncertain. I'm so confused. William just told me there were problems with some legal papers, but he won't explain what happened. Rachel, there's a lot we need to discuss. Are you somewhere we can talk privately? I'm at my apartment. My husband went to work early. She paused. Dad, did someone try to change things? About us? The question broke my heart because it meant she was starting to remember who we used to be before the manipulation began. Yes, sweetheart. Someone changed a lot of things. But we're going to fix them. I've been having these weird dreams about my wedding. Like you were supposed to be there but something went wrong. Her voice cracked. Why didn't you come to my wedding, Dad? I closed my eyes, choosing my words carefully. I wasn't invited, Rachel. But that's not your fault. Someone made decisions for you that weren't yours to make. Silence stretched between us for nearly a minute. The trust fund William mentioned, that was from Mom, wasn't it? And it was supposed to be yours to manage until I turned 30? Yes. Oh God. The weight of realization hit her voice. Dad, what did they do to us? Before I could answer, she continued, there's something else. I found some old cards I wrote you in college. I kept them in a box. I never stopped missing you, even when they said it was better this way. Text message, 11:47 p.m. Dad, I'm sorry. Can we start over? Accept the apology immediately, or would you need time to process everything that happened first? The storage unit felt different this time, less like a graveyard and more like a library waiting to be rediscovered. I'd invited Rachel to meet me here Saturday morning, thinking she should see the evidence of our relationship before someone else tried to explain it away. She arrived in jeans and a college sweatshirt, looking more like the daughter I remembered than the stranger at the hotel dinner. This is everything, she asked, staring at the boxes labeled with her name. 20 years of being your father. I opened the first box, revealing report cards, school photos, and handwritten notes she'd left on the refrigerator. Rachel picked up a Father's Day card she'd made in 3rd grade, with stick figures of us holding hands under a crooked sun. I remember making this, she whispered. You hung it in your office for years. The second box contained her high school and college years. Academic awards, graduation photos, acceptance letters to universities. Every milestone documented and preserved. But it was the third box that made her cry. The filing cabinet held 20 years of love. Report cards, birthday cards, photos of a father who was never absent. Her wedding planning folder was on top, filled with guest lists in her own handwriting. My name appeared first under every category: walk down aisle, father-daughter dance, special thanks speech. I wrote this 3 years ago, right after you graduated college. She flipped through pages of venue comparisons, dress sketches, and timeline notes. Every plan included me as central to her special day. Rachel sank onto an old chair, holding the folder like precious evidence. They told me you'd been distant during my engagement. That you'd asked not to be involved because weddings made you uncomfortable. I never said that. I know that now. She wiped her eyes. Dad, I found something else yesterday. Rachel pulled out her phone and showed me a voicemail saved from 2 years ago. My voice filled the storage unit. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I'm proud of the woman you've become. Your mother would be so proud too. Can't wait to see you next weekend. Love you more than all the stars. I saved every voicemail you left. Even when they said I shouldn't encourage contact, I couldn't delete them. We spent the next hour going through photo albums, reading cards, and reconstructing the relationship someone had tried to erase. Rachel found her college essay about the parent who stayed and read it aloud, her voice breaking at the part about fathers who show up every day. How did I forget this? She asked. You didn't forget. Someone just convinced you to doubt your own memory. As we prepared to leave, Rachel discovered something wedged behind old school photos, a sealed envelope with her handwriting. For Dad's 60th birthday, do not open until 2027. What's inside? I asked. I don't remember writing this. She held the envelope up to the light. But maybe some secrets are worth keeping until the right time. Sealed envelope behind old school photos. Her original wedding invitation list, with my name in first position. What would you preserve for a future that once seemed impossible but now feels within reach? The Brookside Diner was the same place where Susan had confessed her part in the document fraud 6 weeks ago. This time, Rachel sat across from me in the same booth, nervously stirring sugar into coffee she probably wouldn't drink. The coffee shop was the same. She wasn't, and neither was I. I asked my husband about the marriage license, she said quietly. About why it listed William as my father. What did he say? That his family's lawyer recommended it for estate planning purposes. To keep things simple. She looked up at me with eyes that held new understanding. But it wasn't simple, was it? It was theft. The criminal investigation had moved quickly once the forensic analysis confirmed widespread document forgery. William Morrison faced multiple felony charges, though he'd likely negotiate a plea deal that kept him out of prison. His reputation in Dallas social circles was already destroyed. Rachel, I need you to know something. I never wanted this to become public. I just wanted the truth. The truth is that I let someone convince me you weren't important anymore. Her voice carried guilt I wished I could erase. When William showed up, he seemed so confident about what was best for me. He had answers for everything. He was very convincing. But you never stopped fighting for me. Even when I gave you every reason to walk away. I reached across the table and took her hand. You're my daughter. That doesn't change because someone forges papers or tells lies. Rachel squeezed my fingers. I want to do the wedding over. A real one this time. With you walking me down the aisle. Your husband might have opinions about that. My husband is horrified by what his family did. He had no idea about the forged documents or the trust fund scheme. She managed a small smile. He actually likes you better than them now. We talked for 2 hours about rebuilding our relationship on honest terms. No more intermediaries, no more filtered communication, no more legal documents defining our bond. As we prepared to leave, Rachel pulled something from her purse, a small lapel pin with a photo of us from her kindergarten graduation. I found this in my jewelry box yesterday. I must have saved it all these years without realizing why. I pinned it to my jacket lapel. For courage? For memory. So neither of us forgets what we almost lost. Walking to the parking lot, Rachel stopped and turned to face me. Dad, I'm sorry isn't enough for what happened. But it's where I need to start. It's enough, I said. It's more than enough. The receipt went in my wallet next to her kindergarten photo. Some victories are measured in coffee shared, not battles won. 6 months later, I walked Rachel down the aisle at a small church in Tulsa. The guest list included everyone who mattered, friends who'd supported us, Susan who'd found the courage to tell the truth, and Jennifer who'd helped us navigate the legal maze. The only names missing were those who'd tried to erase ours from history. What's the one line from this story you'll remember? Drop a comment sharing what resilience means to you. Every story of fighting for family matters here.